All right, writer's strike, actor's strike. They both strike. 100-day strike. What is it for? Money, money, money. They just want more money, which in some cases, rightfully so. But what exactly are they fighting for? And when will this end? Does it affect you? How many people does it actually affect? How many people are actually involved? And at this point, everybody wants to say it's all the greed of the corporations. But at what point do you stop playing the victim and just say, I actually just want more money? So, whose side are you on? We'll find out. Welcome back to another episode of America's Dummies. We appreciate you tuning in. I am Kyle McClure, and joining me, as always, is the one, the only, Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Doing good. Where's my round of applause? Yeah, there we go.
All right. Yeah, okay. Hope you liked that. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. We greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, if you could do us a favor and you go on to our on Rumble, and if you're watching us on Rumble, watching us on YouTube, please click the like buttons, the subscribe, and the turn on the notification bell so you never miss America's Dummies episode whenever we drop. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to move it to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday format for you. Short and condensed episodes, one topic per, so that way you get a little bit, you don't get bogged down for 50 minutes to an hour and a half like some of our episodes have been about several different topics. So this one, you can just click which one interests you the most, or all of them, just watch them as they come out. Or, binge watch them if you missed them. Anyways, if you don't mind following us, supporting us on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Rumble and YouTube. If you're not watching us on Rumble and YouTube, you really should, because we are handsome as can be. And we know you like to watch us. So, not to mention, we're adding some, things like video elements, screen grabs, things like that, so you can follow along with us and get a little bit, something extra when you're watching. And don't forget, if you'd like to support us and get your official America's Dummies merch, link in the description below. But we don't have a custom URL yet, but you can go to our Printify shop, if you will, and you can take a look at browse our selection of merchandise that you can get, clothing, tumblers, keychains, coffee cups, magnets, a car magnet or a car bumper sticker. I'm not a big fan of that one because we don't have too many options in terms of customization. But you still have the option. So if you'd like to support us, please do so at our America's Dummies merchandise store. Link in the description below, and that will do for the social media plugs and merchandise plugs. So without further ado, let's dive in. And today we are talking about the Hollywood strike. So obviously, at the time of this recording, we know that the WGA, or the Writers Guild, is it Writers Guild of America? Writers Guild America?
Yes.
So the writers' strike is officially over. They came to an agreement.
The writers is over.
But now the actors are still on strike after 100 days
it's been
of
100
continuous
days,
striking.
and that's the longest strike in history
right?
them, yeah.
Or at least for a while. I think it's the longest.
I think it's the longest all time.
Yeah, that makes about sense. And honestly, by the way, SAG-AFTRA, if you see that a lot in regards to the Hollywood strike, just means Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television Radio Artists. So they're just an American labor union that represent over 160,000 people in terms of actors, creators, content creators, models,
writers,
things like that, right? So
stunt doubles and all them people.
Yeah. So now there's so much to go on with this, and so much of it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't really pertain to us. But if so many of you are wondering, why, when's the next episode or the next series or the next season gonna come out of my favorite TV show or maybe my movie? Why isn't this stuff? It was supposed to come out this year, but now it's not. So what's going on? Well, a lot of that obviously has to do with the strike, and a lot of the promotion too. I found out that if you're a part of that union and they're on strike, you're not allowed to promote your works, your upcoming works, your upcoming films or anything like that. You're not allowed to promote that. Did you know that?
No, but
you're not allowed to promote if you are part of the strike.
But I could see why, though. 'Cause, I mean, if you're not working, then why you're promoting the content? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, I mean, either way, promoting's easy. I mean, like, don't forget, we got a movie, blah, 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 coming up, right? But you can't promote that. So I don't understand why. I don't understand why you're making the strikes so stringent, even in some of the Hollywood costumes that they're allowed to do. Like, literally, the union's saying what you can't, giving you guidelines and rules for Halloween.
That is, wow. I didn't know that.
So that's a little ridiculous.
That's a little far. Yeah.
That's a little far. Even Ryan Reynolds said something about that.
And you voted to be unionized.
Yeah.
And you pay monthly for them to tell you what you can wear on Halloween.
You decided to go on strike.
Bravo.
I mean, this is kind of your decision. Which, for those of you who don't know what the strike is, we still don't completely understand it because it's just so, in some ways, ridiculous.
From what I understand, is that they need more pay. Pretty much. Increase in base pay and residual pay. The big one, I think, is residual pay. I think that's the big one. So the residual pay went away. In case people don't know what it is, like, let's say Back to the Future plays on TV Friday night. Mm-hmm.
On outdated cable.
Yeah, on cable where you had commercials and all that. So the actors, everybody on the credits, right? You know, the credits at the end of the movie. So all those people will get some form of payment, even though the movie was made
decades ago.
Yeah. So they would still get payment today for that movie playing, right? So that's a form of income for them doing that. So those residual payments went away when streaming platforms started coming out,
right?
Where people would pay for membership and there's no ads.
Right.
So what their argument is that they should get residual pay from those memberships.
Which, I mean, I don't know if I completely agree with that. Like, I understand, because there's some reports that, like, of the people in a part of the union, the SAG-AFTRA Union, actors, not A-listers, we know A-listers are going to get millions of dollars, but it's the unknown, not well-known, not highly known, or highly recruited actors and actresses that are getting paid, like, the average was like $49,000, I think, in 2021 numbers.
I think it's 46.
Yeah, it's $49,000 a year, which is below the national average of 60,000, I believe, somewhere around there.
So I think that's where the strike impacts more. Like, can you imagine living in California with making 46 grand?
And I think it doesn't just affect people in California, but that's where a majority of Hollywood is at. Now you got people moving to, I think, Atlanta, Georgia is where a lot of them at. And you also got a lot of people who, obviously, these A-listers that can afford it, millions of dollars, right? They're moving to other states beyond that. And by the way, red states, just to get a little political there. But I mean, I don't know how I feel about it entirely, because they rejected over $1 billion in increased pay and benefits and pension contributions, which, by the way, pension contribution, another part of being a part of a union is pension. Pension sucks. You have no control over that. It's very little pay. You don't have control of where the money is where your money for your pension is invested in. Mm-hmm. So the best way to do that is to have your money in some sort of 401k or Roth IRA or IRA in general,
do it yourself,
where you can control or work with some way to control where your money goes to, because most pension plans get like a 2%, 3% return, right? It's very little, and you can't control if you want to get higher returns. Many times, if you want, your 8%, 10%, the S&P 500 index, if you just match that or just invest in that, that's an annual return of 11% over the last 30 years. And that's, your retirement plan, that's long haul, not short haul, long haul.
Yeah.
So if you're, imagine putting your money into a pension that's 2% or 3% return versus a 401k or an IRA with an 11% return. Which one do you want? So pensions that you get through unions, it's a bunch of bullshit to begin with.
Yeah.
But SAG-AFTRA, they rejected over $1 billion, which I would like to know who is responsible for that. All the members or the people leading the union, like Fran Drescher, who used to be the nanny, which she got a little old.
Yeah. She still sounds the same, though.
She still sounds the same. Looks-wise,
Yeah.
But it's all right. We'll all get there. I mean, some of us are already there.
To me, I think that should be calm down, bro. that should be, present the terms to everybody and then they vote on it.
It's possible they did. I don't know how the inner workings are. Yeah, I didn't look too much into that.
Never been part of a union. I've always been.
I don't like unions anyways.
Against them because, I mean, what do they actually achieve?
Yeah, what do they achieve? Not to mention, in 3 years' time, when it's like whenever there's a contract up for negotiation, they're going to go on strike again because a strike is only a tool to apply pressure.
So the writers
to get what you want
for a 3.5 to 4% increase.
And was it just base pay or residual pay?
I think that was residual.
Yeah, I think so. Because that's the main worry is residual pay.
The size of the staff, they got what they wanted there, so probably less people, so you get paid more, something like that. But I think and like you said, it's only for 3 years.
Yeah.
AI, they also want on the AI part of the writing for the writers. Mm-hmm. So AR cannot be considered a literary material.
Yeah.
So basically, you can't give AI credit for writing something. Now, the writers can use AI to help them, obviously. So, I mean, I think the writers did okay. I think the union did all right. But, again, it's only 3 years. They got you 3 years. You're going to pay the union monthly for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And in 3 years, they're going to
do the same thing
you're
right
gonna
back
go on strike again. You're
yeah.
not gonna get paid while you're on strike. I don't think companies have to pay you if you go on strike.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. And not to mention, I mean, you have. I mean, it doesn't really affect your everyday person, right? It only affects the people involved in the Hollywood industry. So you got people who are going on strike. Right, you got unions going on strike, which affects the release date and the work allowed to be done on movies and TV shows. And not every person who works in a production of a movie or TV show is going to be represented by one of these unions that are on strike. I mean, they're just not.
Yeah.
And so you're affecting other people. You're affecting everyone. And some Hollywood actors have even had to sell their houses, or they've had to go pick up a second job because they're on strike, because they're not making any money. So I can guarantee you a lot of those people are like, I just want this to end, just agree to something. And the actors, the SAG-AFTRA, they wanted an 11% increase in the first year because they wanted to match inflation. I'm sorry, but not every company can afford to do that for 160,000 people, no matter how much money they have. And everybody's complaining about the CEOs of getting these millions of dollars when it should be going to the working person. And SAG-AFTRA is also just sitting there saying that, these multi-billion-dollar companies are exploiting the workers. That's what they literally all say. Mm-hmm. They all say that they're exploiting the workers. Otherwise, if they didn't, then the union would be useless because they so-called represent the working man. Which, by the way, they then go and take the money and donate to Democrats who take advantage of the working man. So it's a revolving door, and it's all for money to put in the hands of the people who run these unions.
It's all about the money.
But and the biggest part of this whole thing is obviously the streaming service, the effect that the streaming services like Netflix and Amazon and Paramount Plus, that they all have on the industry in itself. Like George Clooney said, this is literally a fight to save the industry. I'm sorry, but the industry is not going anywhere. It's not to save the industry. It isn't. It's to get yourself more money. And George Clooney, he's never going to be out of business. People are going to... I bet you in the Flash movie... by the way, spoiler, if you haven't seen the Flash movie and you want to, pause or skip or whatever. Not pause, because it's... skip or just listen.
George Clooney's fine.
But George Clooney, he's going to get... People like George Clooney, he's going to get millions of dollars for a couple of minutes as a cameo.
Yeah, but...
Right?
I mean, that's who you are.
It's because of who he is and the work he's done in the past, right? Yes, we get it. Some of these lesser-known people... I hate to see them get only $40,000 if they're doing a job like acting and they have to supplement with other jobs. But at the same time, so did so many of the A-listers now. They had to work their way up to it. You don't just act and presto, bambo, wingo, whatever you want to say, you get what you want.
In the gaming industry, it's called get good.
Yeah, exactly. Become a better actor. Become a better actress. Become somebody worth a multi-million-dollar position, or go try and, it's like you got to build up a resume before you can do it. You can't just, for instance, you can't just go into college for 1 year, come out without a degree, and say, yeah, I want a $150,000 job. Hell, you can't even go into get your 4 or 5, 6 year degree and go and be like, I want $200,000 right off the spot. Really, you haven't proven yourself.
Yeah. But I do think, though, the streaming platforms need to figure something out with, like, older content, possibly.
Because a lot of the things coming out now that people are watching are literally developed by these streaming content, streaming services.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, if you have a Netflix original or an Amazon Prime original, I think the people involved in those originals should get residuals from the subscriptions, right? But at the same time, I don't understand how that would work, because your subscriptions changes and your subscriptions pays for so many other things. So whereas if you have ad revenue,
if Amazon or Netflix plays something that's not theirs, they shouldn't pay that production.
I don't know. That's where it's tricky. That's where I don't have a fully formed opinion on the matter.
And they say it's a popular one, like, if they brought back the Goonies, I'm gonna watch it.
Hell yeah.
And
the thing, though.
And some of them are probably still alive, right?
Yeah. So some of them are probably going to be due their residual payments.
So they shouldn't.
But at the same time, who grants them the rights to play those movies on their platforms? So it's not just the streaming platforms that it's not just the streaming platforms that should carry the burden of paying them. It should also be the companies that gave them the access to that content.
I think it's a production company, right, or whatever.
Which part of these people, which part of the fight is against the AMPTP, which represent
they probably sold them a license to play the movie for 4 weeks.
Yeah, because not everything is available on Netflix.
Yeah, they rotate.
Yeah, they rotate.
So, I mean, depending on how much they paid to play that, then the production company should spread that out too.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
List. Or maybe it's like they could do something like, let's say this movie or TV show, I'm blanking on any that we can think of, is played on a streaming service. Well, this streaming service, right, for however long let's say it's available for 6 months. Well, however often it gets pushed to play, right? However often it gets played, then for 6 months, residuals of that go to them. But at the same time, you're talking about there's so many actors out there that are on multiple TV shows and movies all the time, and those are constantly being watched by the millions. Well, we don't know, because part of the big problem is that these streaming services aren't actually telling you what their numbers are.
Yeah, and I think that's where the problem lies.
I think it could bankrupt them. I mean, it could bankrupt these companies by trying to do these residuals for everyone when they also got so many other overhead costs. That's why you can't put this all on the production company that's responsible, or the streaming service that's responsible. There's so many costs that go into it.
I mean, they could have sole responsibility if the numbers they're reporting are not true and they're actually not making money.
Yeah.
Off subscriptions.
Yeah, and a lot of it, too, I think has to do with the fact that if they release those numbers, it could affect their stock prices. And their stock prices does a lot in terms of their available money and what they can spend. I mean, we have a comedian.
Just go back to cable.
Andrew Schultz. That's a lot of it.
Deal with commercials.
Yeah. Or just if these platforms like Amazon Prime and Netflix and Disney Plus, if they all did these free options, or maybe like a lower, like a $3 per month option, but you still have to sit through ads, then those ad revenue goes directly, that's involved in the shows and programs that you watch, go directly to the residuals of the people in those shows.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, I don't know what the answer is. It's really hard, but I mean, we have Andrew Schultz, who attacked the whole Hollywood strike. And look, this is a lot to say, and he said this on X, but some of the stuff he said is basically attacking the streaming services and the strikers, and basically saying that they're hurting themselves because there's a good chance that people just aren't watching your content. So, Andrew Schultz, a comedian, goes on to say, "My suspicion is that streamers are refusing to share the viewership numbers, not because they're being cheap, but because no one is watching, and revealing extremely low viewership would kill the stock price. And he continued, if most of these streamers are losing money in the effort to gain market share, the only justification for their spending is their stock price being high. So SAG and the WGA may have absolutely screwed themselves and their industry by fighting for key metrics on actual streaming viewership. If these companies don't want the number of viewers they suggest they do, then admitting this would tank their stock and guarantee that thousands of writers and actors never get their chance in the ever-dimming spotlight. And I think he's spot on. I think he's spot on for that.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. They actually don't make money.
I mean, I've always been confused on how they can afford, like, I think it was a Netflix original is called Red Notice. So many of the movies, TV shows they produce now cost them $200 million. Mm-hmm. Disney, apparently they spent like over $1 billion on Little Mermaid, which, by the way, tanked.
Yeah.
I mean, they spend so much money on this. Where does all their money come from? It can't possibly come from just their stock prices. It can't.
Well, it's not coming from advertisements.
Possibly, it's not coming from advertisements. It can't possibly come from subscriptions. I mean, how do you make so much money?
How many subscriptions do they have a month?
I don't know. I don't even know if they release those numbers. Again, because monthly subscriptions, monthly viewership of titles, how many people are actually tuning in, that all affects their stock price.
Oh yeah,
just like it did
Netflix has what 50 million subscriptions. Mm-hmm. At what? How much is it now?
I don't know, like probably almost $20.
Like $20.
Let's just call it even 20.
What's that? That's $1 billion, isn't it?
I mean, 50 million times 20 is $1 billion.
Yeah,
that's a month. Times that by, well, that would be 12 billion a year. Obviously, I don't know why I did times 12. I knew that. Simple math is some of the hardest. Hey, if you're watching or listening to this, you've done the same thing. Do not judge.
If they're making 12 billion off membership,
but that's 50 million, and that would be worldwide.
They can create their own movies.
They can create their own movies, but where's also all their advertising going, or where's all their money being spent? And that's the problem. A lot of this is people are complaining that their CEOs are getting so much money, but it's like, okay, if CEO is being paid $15 million a year, and they're doing a good job, then obviously, why would you go with someone who is, $10 million a year to do the job? Wouldn't that mean that they're less qualified because they're willing to take a pay cut?
Downgrading.
Yeah, and then if someone sees that this person getting paid 15, well, you know what? I want them, so it's go 20 million a year. Yeah, because obviously they know what they're doing. They're doing a good job. So I want better, and then CEOs don't just do nothing. I mean, CEOs do a lot of work. I mean, there may be some out there that don't do much, but they do a lot of work, and they have to manage a lot, and they have to be able to lead the company in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. And if they're leading a company in a direction that is more profitable for everybody involved,
CEOs,
they are worth what they're getting paid.
Have to respond to each and every shareholder that company has.
Yeah.
So
and the board of directors,
the board, and all that, like they don't just sit there and twirl their fingers and let the company
run. There's a lot of shit that they go through.
Yeah. There's a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings.
A lot of times.
They're addressing situations like if you're in the food industry CEO and something bad happens, you have to address that.
Oh yeah, because at the end of the day, it's your head.
It's your company, yeah. And you're the head of it, so
absolutely,
it's a lot of pressure. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, and do I agree with them making sure that there's protections against their likeness being used from things like AI? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I agree with them getting a little bit better pay like everyone else should? If you're in an industry, you get paid. You should get paid according to the increase in inflation. Do I think you should get an immediate raise that surpasses inflation? No, because sometimes that's just not doable.
Yeah.
Now, do I think that they should get 11% and then 4% the next year? No, maybe you work your way up to where it's just 4%, 4%, 4%, so that way you can, as time goes on, you get a little bit more. But
how about you vote the right way and select government officials that will commit to America and our well-being and tame inflation?
Exactly, not Biden inflation,
no.
which Bidenomics is causing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to get political again. But still.
But, I mean, they really need to look at a solution, or I think this is going to go overseas. Movies are going to be made overseas.
Movies already are being made overseas.
Yeah,
the question is, what do they do with the staff?
Like actors, writers here won't be necessary.
I think it's the actors and writers that won't have a problem. I think it's all the other people involved in the production will be of different countries. So they may save a lot of money on these other people that just want a job and want to work. Where everybody here in America, they feel entitled to more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
So this is a never-ending cycle of strike, get somewhat of what you want. 3 years later, strike, get somewhat of what you want. 3 years later, strike. Yeah. 3 years later, strike.
You need to chill a little bit because eventually it's gonna burst. You know, you can only go up so many. So it's
So it's like, where's the
crash?
Cap? Where's the cap? I mean, at this point, it's just like unions. They're worthless. I mean, what have they actually done except always they claim that you're oppressed. They claim that you're being, taken advantage of. They claim that you're being, exploited. That's the word. They claim you're being exploited by everything and everyone, and everything that has to do with the poor lifestyle that you have, or maybe you're broke, or maybe you don't have as much as the next person. They all claim it has everything to do with everyone else but you. So being a part of a union in many cases is just another part of playing the victim. Yeah. Now that's my opinion. You get what you pay for, and if you don't pay for it, well then it's worth what you pay for. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So either way, there's a lot that goes into us. One thing that we didn't even get into is called paint downs and wiggings.
Oh,
that one is interesting.
We'll talk about it next time.
Maybe another time.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks again for tuning in to the episode of America's Dummies. We greatly appreciate it. Again, if you could do us a favor and just go ahead and click that like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to our YouTube or Rumble channel. And if you are not listening on YouTube, and maybe you're watching on YouTube, or Rumble, I should say, please go ahead and click the like and follow button on wherever you're listening, or it'll be Apple Music, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. And if you're not watching us, you should. We're pretty handsome. Go check us out. Anyways, and if you also want to, go ahead and support us. You can go to our official America's Dummies merchandise website and get your official America's Dummies merch, whether it be a t-shirt, sweatshirt, mug, tumbler, sticker, magnet. We got it all. Just go ahead and click the description below for the merchandise store, and you can support us and get your merchandise and spread the word. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.
Peace.